figured I've been wanting to do this, and not that anybody really plans on using this, but it's such a fun machine and I enjoy it. I figured I'd show everybody just kind of the basic controls, in case you were ever wondering, of a typical excavator. So this one here, it's the JCB 85Z. It's a mini excavator. It weighs about, it says 18,200 pounds, so it's not big at all. I know 9 tons is it's a lot, but you know, they've got some out there that are, you know, knocking on 180,000 pounds. So anyway, basic controls. You've got your move controls right here. This is the left track, this is the right track. Forward makes you go forward, backwards makes you go back. Pretty simple. You've got your, some people call it the gear switch, but this basically controls all the controls. Nothing will work as long as this is down, and they kind of put this in here for a couple of reasons. One, because it blocks your way from trying to get out of the machine, because if you jump out and this thing is still engaged and you get back in and say you grab your left joystick or whatever, you're going to swing the whole cab around, probably swing yourself off of the machine, so you can do a lot of damage, possibly kill yourself if you don't have that. So they put that there in your way for a reason. So that's what that does. When I pick it up, you'll hear the idle change. I'll turn the idle up for you just so you can hear it. But when I pick it up, the idle will go down, and then you hear the little beep, which means that it shut all the controls off. So now that it's up, I can push my tracks, I can move my joystick, nothing works. It's out of gear. And there's an extra safety feature on this machine, so now it's back in gear, but still nothing's working. And the reason why is because they put this extra toggle switch over here, which is this one right here, and what you have to do is press it, and now your controls work again. So basic controls. I won't go over all this junk here. I don't use half of this crap over here, but the ones that are important that I do use, your headlights, or lights on the back and then lights on the front. So that'll turn on your lights if you're ever working at night, your wipers or whatever. This one controls your auxiliary flow. Depending on how it's plumbed right now, this one's not doing anything. I was pressing it and it'll sometimes change the speed at which the thumb comes out, but this one didn't do anything. So I think it was over here on this one, but nonetheless, I didn't mess with it too much. This one here you need. This is, like I said, this opens all the controls. And that's pretty much all the ones that I use in the auto RPM. I use that one. If you don't have that on, then what happens is it stays at 1600 RPM or 15, whatever. So when you turn it on, now what it'll do after about 3 seconds, you see it idles down, so it saves you gas or diesel. So anyway, basic controls. Your left joystick here controls your swing of the cab. So when you swing to the left, I'll turn the idle down. Oh yeah, your idle switch right here. This controls your engine RPM. So I'm gonna turn it down just so you can kind of hear a little bit better. I don't need it to be up. With your left joystick, push it to the right, and your cab will go to the right. Push it to the left, your cab goes to the left. Now I'm gonna block the sun out so you can see a little bit. When you push this joystick forward, your stick goes out, as you can see right there. When you pull it back, the stick comes in, just like that. Real simple. And the thumb is on the right, or this joystick here. Normally it's on my right joystick, but it's on this one, so push it to the right, and it opens the thumb. Push it to the left, and it closes the thumb. So right, left, that's it. The right joystick over here, exact same thing, except it's different. That didn't even make sense. Exact same thing, it's different. Anyway, whatever. It's been a long day. This controls your bucket and the boom, and this is your boom, and that is your stick. So some people like to call it all just the big arm, and some people call the entire thing the boom. That's the stick right there. This is the boom. So this, when you push this right joystick forward, the boom goes down. Pull it back, the boom comes up. Just like that. So when you want to open the bucket, it's the exact opposite of what the left joystick does, but it's kind of like your hand. Imagine your hand being like this, being the bucket, and if you want to pick something up with your hand in this position, push it to the left, you curl your hand to the left and it'll pick up. When you want to get rid of something, you throw it away like that, fling it to the right. That's the exact same thing this does. Push to the left and the bucket will curl in. Push to the right, the bucket will curl out, and that's pretty much what it is. So when you're trying to do something, I'm gonna set this up and just kind of move it around to kind of give you some visuals. So when you're trying to reach out and grab something, what you would do is if you push your stick only, you see you're only getting a limited range of motion, you're getting arc motion. So push forward on the both controllers. You want to lower your boom and then lower your stick, or pull your stick out, push your stick out, and then when you want to bring it back in, you'll pull both of these back. But depending on what you're doing, you may have to pull them at different rates. Like if you were trying to rake the concrete, then you can't pull both of these back at the same time, because if you do, you'll get, you know, that kind of motion right there where it's all jerky and crap like that. So, and then I'm trying not to damage this concrete because we have to save it, but when you're trying to rake, I could probably rake over here, when you're trying to rake something, it takes a little bit of practice, and I'm still not the best at it, but what you have to do is pull back on the stick and the boom at the same time, but at a different rate. Because if you just pull back on the stick, you'll start digging a hole. If you pull back on the boom too quick, it'll jump like this, and you'll be doing that, and you'll be making, you know, ruffles along the ground, whatever. So it takes a lot of practice, and that's, like I said, I'm not the best at it. I'm getting better, fortunately, but it's just like that, just real simple, real, okay, it's a piece of mud, just real finesse or whatever. And the cool thing about it is that once you do this for so long, you actually don't even think about what you're doing. When I first started using this, first I was scared, and the guy who taught me, trained me or whatever, he told me, he was like, man, don't be afraid of it, and blah, blah, and so, you know, I got used to it. And when I first started, I was thinking, okay, stick out, boom down, bucket curl, okay, pull back, do this, you know, and you're trying to think of everything you did. And what ends up happening is when you go out, you'll go there and then you'll stop it, and then you'll do something, and it makes it really jerky, just like you can see right there. So what I would do, or what I finally started doing, was not thinking so much about what I'm doing, and eventually you'll get to the point to where it's almost like conscious movement or subconscious movement. It's kind of like a third hand, basically. So you just kind of, you know, you're on a job site and you're going and, you know, you're demoing a house, and let's just say the roof was here, so you'd be boom and boom and then boom, you know, and then you're doing this, you know, and then you're coming, you're grabbing, and, you know, you're not even thinking really about what you're doing, and you're just going, and, you know, nothing's over here. Hopefully nothing's over there. I always check around, you know, whatever, and then you boom, throw your stuff out, and you come back, and then boom, at it again, you know. And so that's kind of how it is. And I'm not hitting anything, so it's shaking a whole lot right now because it doesn't have anything, and it doesn't have anything to hit, and that's a big, massive piece of weight just being flung out there or whatever. So that's pretty much the basic operation. And then one more piece that I forgot to show you: the blade. The blade is always going to be where the front of the machine is. So you can see the blade right down there, right there. It's always going to be facing the front of the machine. Most of the bigger excavators don't have blades on them, but as far as the mini excavators, most of them have blades on them. So to operate the blade, you'll pull this lever right here back, and when you pull it back, you see the blade raises. When you push it forward, it goes down. Now this blade, not all of them do it, but you can push it to the left and it'll turn itself to the left. You push it to the right, it'll turn itself to the right. So not all of them do that, but that's just basic operation. Again, like I said, I am not super professional So, uh, you know, I know what I'm doing, but I don't want anybody to think that, oh, he's trying to be Mr. Super Excavator operator or whatever. I know that's sort of a big deal to a lot of people. I don't know why. Amongst guys, it's such a big deal to uh, have bragging rights as far as your operating skills. It's a very good thing to be a good operator, a good safe operator, and an efficient operator, because you get the job done a whole lot quicker. But I see a lot of guys, they complain and nag about the simplest of things. For instance, a lot of times I sit forward in the cab like I'm doing right now. You can't really see, but I'm sitting forward. And so what ends up happening, it's a lot easier for me to use my hands to control my tracks. So I'll be rolling and I'll, be doing like this. And if I have something in the bucket, then I have it locked down and, I don't need to move it or whatever. And usually what I do is I position myself. I don't try to carry a load extended out like that, especially at this property here. You can see we're going downhill, and sometimes you'll start carrying that load, and it's not until you get a big freaking piece of concrete while you're carrying a load that it starts to tip the machine, or and when the machine starts to tip, you feel it real quick, and so you got to respond. But I usually get my load where I want it, however I need to transport it to where it needs to go. And sometimes I use my hands, sometimes I use my feet. When I was transporting stuff to that burn pit down there, I was using my feet. And that's just because I let the seat back, and I was doing it so much, going back and forth so much, that it just got to the point where my back started getting tired and whatnot. So I use my feet. But again, it's little stuff like that. I know a lot of people are very picky about that, and yes, operating with your feet will make you a better operator, but all the time it's not necessary. I mean, that's why they gave you the option of having handlebars and having foot pedals or whatever. So anyway, that's what that is. And so now anybody who didn't know or who was curious as to how one of these things work and how to use it, now you know. And one other thing to mention about this thing, I'm gonna park this thing. Hang on, put this down. Last thing to note about these things is that some people think just because you're in one of these, oh, the job is so much easier and blah, blah, blah. And granted, it is. It is a heck of a lot easier. Unless you got a lot of time and no time limit, and you just kind of want to hang out with, your employees or family, friends or whatever, and take down a house by hand. And as long as the house is not in a shape to where it would be of any danger to you taking it down by hand. But being in these things all day, it makes your body tired in a way that is different from like going to the gym. It's not like you're sore, but you're just tired. Like, I don't even want to say that your joints ache or your muscles ache or anything like that. And I don't know if it's just the constant jolting around. You're really only moving your legs and your hands. But when you get done with a long day inside any of these machines, heavy equipment or whatever, you're tired for whatever reason. Same thing with a skid steer, and I thought maybe it was because, at first I was a little bit tensed up, and then I started relaxing. But nonetheless, I mean, you just get tired. Your body gets tired for whatever reason. And again, I don't know why, so don't quote me and say, oh, this is why, blah, blah, blah. If you know the reason why, then feel free to let me know. And it wasn't just me. My granddad used to operate a motor grader, and I've heard other guys who operate heavy equipment all day, and they'll tell you may be sitting in a cab, letting the machine do all the work for you, but the machine will beat you down after a while. And the constant jolting and jerking and stuff like that. I think my dad was telling me that his dad, my granddad, actually had to have back surgery because he did this for quite a long time. I forgot how many years or whatever he did it for, Just operating it one day, unless you're just completely stupid and flip the machine, or you pick it up off the ground and then just slam it down on the ground or whatever. It won't hurt you for a day. It won't even hurt you for a week. But if you plan on doing this and you're operating for several years, then it may be a different story or whatever. But everybody's body's different too, so what may hurt one person may not hurt another person. And then somebody who, like me, this right here hurts my back, but other stuff doesn't. And then to other people, something else may hurt their back, but doing this may not be anything to them. So, everybody's different, and every situation is different or whatever. So, anyway, that's what that is, and I'm gonna actually hit the groove on that.